Warming up. Okay, YouTube monitor is running. Facebook monitor. There, it's running as well. Signal boosting. Hey David, long time no see. Or a long time still haven't seen. Oh my gosh, it's been so long. Hey Ina, glad to have you with us. We'll be starting officially in a few more minutes. We are just warming up. It's tempting to unwrap that light.
Well, I think we're okay today because we're in lighter shirts. If we were in darker shirts, then I think we'd really want to experiment. So we're going to upgrade to a 2-point setup. My Lazada issues over the birthday sale have resulted in enough credit to buy a new ring light. I still have to pay something out though, but we got a good $400 off, so not bad. Yes, I am aware of your posting schedule, but I assume you felt obliged to show up as we finally finish your cartoon topic. It's just taken us a while, but
yeah, we have noticed that as the show has progressed, people have started to shift in schedules and what they're doing.
Yeah.
So well,
it's okay.
Even we shifted. We started later now than usual. Because I think we used to do our show at 8, right?
No, we've never done it at 8. We've always done it at 9.
Don't we?
No.
Okay, mixing it up with the game, where we moved it to 4 instead of 3. Well, instead of 2. Yeah. So yeah, this will be the last of the cartoon series.
At least the decade ones, and then beyond that, I don't know. I mean, we'll talk about, we'll find other reasons to talk about cartoons, but we're going to this one, and then I feel like at least this one I should know more. That last one with the early 2000s, that was a struggle. We barely knew stuff. We went to the end of the list just to see how much we didn't know.
So, I do feel though we should then broaden our horizons. Now that we're done with the cartoons through the decades, should we like talk about specific shows through the decades, or superhero shows in the 80s, superhero shows in the 90s?
But actually, the more interesting superhero shows are probably in the 70s.
Yeah, but that's the thing. We could like have themes like that. Food-related shows in the 80s.
Struggle.
It's just the trick of finding what the topic will be.
Yeah. Cartoons are still a lot more relatable if we look back at our demographic. So that's why we went through this. And it was a good series of suggestions. Yeah. I have to update the episode log. We're super off. Okay, I guess we'll start.
This is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, a little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
This is completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us as we talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again. This is the last of, well, currently the last of a series of cartoon-inspired episodes.
Yes. Actually, now does this mean we can tackle the 2010s? From the 2010 to 2020.
I guess.
But then I don't think enough new stuff has come along. So yeah, we tackled the 2000s, I think, as a chunk. So yes.
So this episode is the cartoons of the 90s.
Yeah.
And in the previous episodes, we covered the different decades. This was a topic recommended by
David.
David.
That's why he's here.
Mm-hmm.
He's here. Oh, we did 2010s. Okay. We did 2010s. So no, Black Swana, you're not quite late.
We just really started. Hey, Carla. So yes, cartoons. It's the 90s this time we are covering. And Rocky has his list. I have my list. And we shall discuss it as quickly as possible. So let's start with yours.
Okay, nice one. This one starts with Dexter's Lab. Okay, this is the one on Ranker.
Okay.
And of course Dexter's Lab ranked high.
I have only seen one episode of Dexter's
Really? Which one?
There was a body swapping storyline involved because it was part of my research for a game I was working on in the company I used to work for.
You watched it as research?
Yeah.
So that's how late you watched it?
Because
it was work related?
I never really got into Dexter's Laboratory. I think I did it because I hated how they sounded.
In what way?
I just found them annoying, so I decided not to watch it.
Okay.
Admittedly, I think there's a
Wow.
lot of shows that I did not watch because I was finding them annoying. Because around this time in the 90s, I was starting to lean towards old school anime.
Okay.
So I was kind of getting turned off by a lot of the cartoons.
I guess
So-
for me, it's like, because this was also the early days of cable TV
Mhm.
in the Philippines. And then, and then we finally got Cartoon Network sometime after it had been broadcasting in the US.
Mhm.
And then we started getting cartoons. So, I mean, a lot of the more popular shows of the 90s
Mhm.
came out of the sort of incubator
Yes.
series, which was Cartoon Network's Cartoons, which is different from Nickelodeon's. I think it was Oh Yeah Cartoons, which was their
Mhm.
incubator. So Dexter was one of the things that came out of it.
Okay.
And then I don't know, I don't think it was necessarily the best thing that came out of the 90s,
Mhm.
but it was definitely iconic. I super enjoyed it. I could
Mhm.
relate to Dexter on many levels. We used
Okay.
to joke that I went through that life with my sister. So
I could see that.
yeah, right.
I can see that.
And my sister literally took up ballet when we were young. So it totally fit the DD mold. Okay. The next is Rugrats.
But you realize that means we'll have to do that as a costume one year.
Maybe, but then you don't like it, so you're gonna be Mandark.
Yeah.
You have the glasses for it. All right. So next is Rugrats. Okay, this is what I didn't super get into it.
I didn't either.
It was babies, and then it felt like am I supposed to get into this like Muppet Babies, but I only got into Muppet Babies because it's Muppet Babies. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I guess I was too old for Rugrats. But then it's fascinating how big Rugrats
Yeah, it has a very strong
became.
following.
It had a movie.
And-
it had an adult series.
And it has its own share of fan headcanon.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
one of them claims that there's this episode that proves all of it was just, a dream sequence in ganyan's mind.
Yeah, things like that, or connection between Rugrats and I think the Magic School Bus or something, or I forget, or I forgot some of the theories. So that's
Mhm.
that's something. Okay. Then no, it doesn't count. Powerpuff Girls. So it's another cartoon, and then this one.
I barely saw it as well.
Wow,
There is an upcoming live action movie, supposedly.
wow, hater. No,
No, I
no, I think this just speaks that there is a generation gap that is very subtle
Mhm.
between us, and so
just as I saw more Shirt Tails and Care Bears than you saw more Powerpuff Girls than me.
Toby has to go back to Shirt Tails. To be fair, I saw Care Bears.
Yeah, the later episodes.
What later episode? It was all in the 80s. It was totally within my range. I just didn't I think I like the Glow Friends more than the Care Bears.
So of course in the chats people are talking about Invincible, which is out of this era, but yes, it seems to be a promising
It was the
cartoon.
discussion earlier because of the 2010s. And then already like I appreciate the violence level is matching the comic. But then the comic got tiring for me over time. Anyway, Omelette du Fromage, of course, which comes up in for Dexter's Laboratory. That's the iconic
Mhm.
episode where it was Omelette du Fromage. Okay. So Powerpuff Girls had an amazing art, roster of villains actually.
Including one who was evidently cross-dressing at such an early age.
Well, definitely queer coded to some degree. That was him, which was literally the devil. And it's funny because it was not the only like incarnation of the devil we saw in 90s cartoons. And I guess when we get to that other one, we'll pick up on that. Okay, there's Hey Arnold, which I also didn't get into.
Not so
It
much.
was very slice of lifey and it wasn't my thing. This doesn't count. Oh, Animaniacs.
Barely.
You didn't really watch
Barely.
Animaniacs. I super loved Animaniacs because I felt like because it tickled my appreciation for satire and like
Mhm.
political
I
relevancy.
heard it had very smart comedy.
Yes, and then I know I memorized the theme song, and then I didn't memorize the geography song, which I really want to do, but that's something. Okay, then no, doesn't count. This one, Tiny Toon Adventures. This was sad. This was like a weird like we wanted to do Muppet Babies, but with Warner Brothers
Mm.
things, and yeah, it had like Babs and Buster Bunny, and it just wasn't like okay. Picky and the Brain. Picky and the Brain. You have little feedback. Do you?
Yeah. It's gonna be mostly you, dear.
That's sad. No, but I like Pinky and the Brain because actually it was a spin-off out of Animaniacs.
So while people were talking about being in the brain, I was thinking the brain is the villain in Metroid.
Different, and she was in a cartoon.
Yeah.
Captain.
But yeah,
Captain
that
N.
kind of shows you where my brain was at that time.
The Magic School Bus. I didn't like necessarily watch a lot of this, but
Mhm.
I appreciated it as edutainment,
Mhm.
and it also had very great CD-ROM games, which we played with my brother eventually. Okay, Disney's Recess. I also did not get into this. I
Yeah,
don't
I,
know.
I remember seeing the visuals and didn't connect with it.
Wow, SpongeBob just made it because it was a 1999
Yeah.
release, and then
Officially, it's a 90s cartoon.
to this day, I still don't fully understand SpongeBob SquarePants and why it became such a big thing. I respect its longevity and power, but I just never understood it. But the musical, the live action musical, actually looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Very compelling. All right, 1992 is Batman the Animated Series.
Yes, that
Now
one I
that is awesome, and the beginning of our Bruce Timm universe,
Mhm.
and showing that I think it was a prime time cartoon
Mhm.
like The Simpsons. It was something that you know was not super meant for kids when it first started.
And it I think it is the only time when they showed Batman being more a detective than anything else, even in live action movies currently, and all the cartoons and animated films coming out. It was only in this one where we could feel the film noir feeling, the investigative detective angle.
And the power of this particular incarnation of Batman. I mean, it gave us the very tragic Mr. Freeze,
Mhm.
where he was super obsessed about with his sick wife. It gave us Harley Quinn,
Mhm.
who is now a completely different character. But Harley Quinn, and then we always stress this, I think, is that Harley Quinn was a Batman animated series original character with no comic book counterpart. And it was because of the success of the show that she worked her way back into it. And then we finally watched that Harley Quinn TV series, and that was fun. But again, that show owes a lot to not just because Harley Quinn was originated in Batman the Animated Series, but also because things like Harley and Poison Ivy having a thing, they a weird Thelma and Louise vibe that was in the animated series first. And then, I'm sorry, I'm stuck on this. The last thing that I will always point out is that Batman the animated series made me love Clock King,
Hmm.
which is a weird thing to say because if you saw Clock King in the comics or in the 1960s Adam West Batman series, he was just stupid, right? He was very very stupid. But in Batman the animated series, they made him, I guess, in slightly more modern TV terms, he was a freaking observer. He was a
Hmm.
fringe observer because he could do long chain events.
Hmm.
Like if I do this, then this will happen, and this will happen, and this will happen, and it was amazing. So I love clocking.
The Rube Goldberg
Yes. I
machine.
literally in terms of schoolyard, let's pretend to be Batman, whatever villains, I was clocking.
Hmm.
And I would stop time or whatever. Then like you can't hit me. I've frozen time.
So Black Swana mentions Nickelodeon had a peculiar type of humor for kids shows in the 90s.
They have always, well, I think in the 80s and 90s, they were always known for having a particular
Hmm.
viewpoint or sense of humor.
I feel the cartoon industry as a whole has always tried to find that special sweet sauce.
Mm.
Um, it goes even before the 80s and the 90s, when of course, yeah, I can't remember the name now of the show. Um, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of the show. But when you had different shows showing up with specific effects on grabbing their own audience base, um, all these other brands wanted to find a way to mimic that.
Okay.
So um, even until now, and hence we have the really frightening looking Thundercats cartoon series in the modern day,
Mm.
because they're trying to see how they can capture what Ren and Stimpy accomplished, and so on and so forth. So there
That's a
is
fair
this
assessment.
constant attempts to see what will click, because it's hard. It's really hard to get kids interested.
Hmm.
And if you're in the business of making entertainment for kids, what worked 2 years ago won't necessarily work on the next.
Okay, and then the next one on this list is Rocco's Modern Life, which was
Mm.
okay. Finally, a Nickelodeon thing that we can talk about, or at least I can talk about. I don't know, and this was definitely on the disturbing side of entertainment,
Hmm.
but I super got into it for some reason. Like I always like if it was playing on Nickelodeon, then I would stop and watch. And it was that cable TV experience where um was this we didn't have DVRs. At best, you could record TV,
Hmm.
but if you missed the schedule, you missed the schedule. So
Hmm.
a lot of the shows were very episodic and nonlinear, and I felt like Rocco just did some really crazy things on that show, and then only for the for the continuity to reset at the
Hmm.
end and go back to normal. Doug, man, I realized a lot of the Disney stuff I did not touch, so I
Hmm.
didn't really watch Doug. I'm just aware of it. I know what he looks
Yeah,
like.
same.
Courage the Cowardly Dog just made it. He was barely a 90s. He was a 1999
So
series.
I confused that show with Cat Dog multiple times.
Oh my gosh, that's very different.
And I know. It's just that I'd watch the TV, I'd see one of the two shows, and I think it's the same show. So it bothered me that there were times it seemed very bright and times it seemed very dark.
I think, but I'll admit, I mainly like Courage the Cowardly Dog as the original short
Hmm.
on Cartoons,
Hmm.
where it was I think it was the chicken thing, and then that was fascinating. But then when it became a series, I'm like, really, did this need to become a series?
Hmm.
It felt a bit forced as a series. So yeah, I was more on like I appreciated it. Oh,
Uh,
Black Swan says Doug was originally on Nick. I have no idea.
so Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network actually had a lot of shows that traded in between them,
That's true.
because they didn't really create their own shows.
Yeah, they were like
A lot
they
of
were
them
shopping
and
creators.
a lot
Yeah.
of them syndicated shows for a period of time, which is why if you try to trace, for example, Ben 10 or SpongeBob, you will get confused who came first.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay. Next one, of course, is Pokemon. The original Pokemon came out in
Mhm.
'97, and it's funny that like we didn't own a Game Boy, but we watched the Pokemon
Mhm.
cartoon, and then it was like, yeah, okay. I think I generally understand what this is. Um, it did help me fall in love with Psyduck more,
Mhm.
which started my lifelong appreciation for Psyduck. But then Squirtle is always my starter.
Mhm.
Cat Dog, 1998. It's very different. See, look, Courage is pink. Cat Dog is a cat
They
and a
were just
dog.
dogs and cartoons as far as I was concerned. Um, I will always admire the fact that we had such absurdist cartoons. Only because I could just imagine how brave the creator had to be to actually pitch it.
Actually, it's like a cat and a dog connect each other. They don't have butts.
Yeah, and you could just imagine the showrunners really pushing that this is a concept that's worth looking at when around you have shows like Batman animated series and the like. So it's impressive to see shows like this.
Futurama started in
Hmm.
1999. And this was like, I was excited because, oh my gosh, the guy who did The
Yeah.
Simpsons is doing something science fiction-y. And then it was hard to get into at first, I
Hmm.
think. The first season was not its strongest.
I quit in the
And
first
the cast of
first few
characters was
episodes.
super weird. I
Hmm.
kind of appreciated it over time, and I like some of the running gags, like Slurm and the brain parasite alien thing. But yeah, it wasn't like I lost track because it was hard to watch. And not hard because it was annoying, but hard
Hmm.
because it was hard to catch what channel had it. I think it was like Studio 23. Oh my God, do you remember
Hmm.
Studio 23? Um, and then I just never got to finish it. And then it was funny when there was a revival. It's the only time I kind of tried watching it again.
Studio 23 was like the Philippines version of cable for the masses. No,
No,
it's like they got cable shows and they.
or dare I say, Studio 23 to the 90s was like UHF in the 80s. Can people understand what we're talking about? Do you know UHF TV? When you could pick up like stuff
Mhm.
from the bases,
Mhm.
I would watch. I would wait up on Saturday night to watch Sonic the Hedgehog
Mhm.
because they were broadcasting Saturday morning cartoons
Mhm.
from the ABC feed through the bases on UHF. Fascinating. Okay, okay. When it come up,
And that
Nick,
would literally be pirated airwaves.
I know, right? No, it wasn't because it was broadcast for the military bases, so it was legit.
Were you part of the military bases?
No, we just had the fancy antenna that could pick up UHF. That was it. Okay,
Yes.
okay. Family Guy, 1999. The beginning of the what are these? Seth, what's his name? Seth MacFarlane
McFarlane.
shows, and I never got into
Yeah,
this. I
same.
never did. It
I know
it just felt like a very annoying
a lot of
Simpsons.
people built a lot of interest in those shows, but I wasn't one of those.
Johnny Bravo, 1997. Also a cartoon
Hmm.
thing. Something like I also felt like Johnny Bravo wasn't like super strong enough to be its own
Hmm.
show, but I liked it as like a commercial
Hmm.
between cartoons. Like you could always do a quick Johnny Bravo adventure and
I
be stupid.
only appreciated him in small doses.
Because he's annoying, stupid, and
Hmm.
like a really slim waist, a very tall, large frame.
And for those who are fans of Johnny Bravo, if you search carefully, you will find the episode where Filipino terms are used as part of the episode
Mm.
because the
Mm.
creator is Filipino. Um, yeah, so was able to sneak in some elements of Filipino humor in one of the episodes.
Oh my god. Okay, 1996 is Arthur. Arthur, I didn't get into as a cartoon also. I
Mhm.
respected it was a scholastic book series, but I think I oddly had a lot more
Hey, Karen.
engagement with it because my younger brother, we made him play the Arthur CD-ROM games. We
Hmm.
super had all these educational CD-ROM games. Putt goes to the moon, all the scholastic things, and then
Hmm.
Arthur was prominently one of them. Okay, 1999, Ed, and Eddie. This was at the point where I felt like Nickelodeon was really Cartoon Network was trying to be more Nickelodeon,
Hmm.
and then I just didn't like this show. It was just so stupid. I just didn't. I could not. Oh my god, DuckTales didn't count, but 1991 Darkwing Ducks cartoon counts. I'm
Hmm.
so happy. Um, but yeah, it was kind of stupid. It was confusing that Launchpad was in the series,
Hmm.
pulled over from DuckTales. But I appreciate that Darkwing Duck gained new life through the recent DuckTales
Hmm.
series, and they made him not just a fictional character but also an in-universe character. So
I always
that's
wonder if there's any connection to Darkwing Duck and the movie Darkman.
he was supposed to be more Batman,
I
obviously,
know,
but he had the Sandman
but
gas
there was a
gimmick
closer feel to to those two shows than there is to Batman.
with dramatic lines. I am the blah blah blah. Okay. 1997, South Park. I
Mm,
didn't get into it, despite my love for satire. I
mm,
had I had struggled with South Park, and then I really figured like, what's going on? Like, what's going on with TV? What are we trying to do with TV? Gummy Bears is 80s.
yeah, I just wanted to confirm.
We
It's
covered it.
1985
We covered it
officially.
in our 80s
I
episode.
couldn't remember the actual year.
Gummy bears bouncing here and there and
Mm,
everywhere. But then I appreciated Gummy Berry Juice cameoed in the recent DuckTales
mm.
series.
So South Park, I was very impressed again in the sense that this was almost like, what will make our show look different? We'll use cutouts.
Yeah, and I
Because,
just have them bobbing
oh my
around.
God, that was such a visual style that impressed me. It just really showed you that if you have really good writing, the visual style is excusable as an artistic choice and not as a level of quality, which sadly many don't see sometimes.
I just didn't like the toilet humor, I
Mm.
think. And then like, ooh, it's edgy because they get to curse. But then like,
Mm.
did they really need to swear all the time? I think I only tried to watch it because I wanted to understand Kenny and
Mm.
like what's going on with this kid who keeps dying. Um, but I couldn't stick to it. Ooh, 1994 Gargoyles. Oh
So
man.
Gargoyles was one of the cartoons which I remember getting into briefly, but then I spun away and focused more on Anne Rice vampires.
I felt like Gargoyles was ahead of its time. I mean,
Mm.
like it was definitely a very bold series, but then I don't know if the market was ready for that kind of storytelling. And then it was coming out of Disney. Then you were then it couldn't like I felt like it was meant to be like on the same tone as season one Batman the animated
Hmm.
series. I had to specify that because later on Batman turns into the adventures of Batman and Robin, and then
Yeah.
it becomes very campy.
Hmm.
But like the original, I mean, Gargoyles, I think needed to be darker than it was to like really be successful. But then it could be more adult
Yeah.
because of it.
It it feels like it was a show that found inspiration from the older cartoons like Inhumanoids
Yeah,
and the
it
like.
felt
But
like that era, like
but
Visionaries.
then it was under the Disney helm, so it had to sanitize itself somehow.
Mm-mm. And and then the Disney larger brand enforcement
Mm.
was like very strong.
For fans of the Gargoyle cartoon, however, there is supposedly an upcoming board game inspired by that brand, and supposedly an upcoming Disney re
And
reboot of
and
that
there have
show.
been there's a revised toy series also.
Mm.
I've the main Gargo figure. Oh my god, looks amazing. If I invested more in action figures instead of Transformers, I was already tempted. It
Mhm.
looked really good. Okay, Tailspin. I didn't particularly get into this again because the Disney side of the fence, but I appreciate its cameo in the recent Ducktales thing.
And I think I was more curious about the Rescuers than I was with Tailspin.
But The Rescuers was a movie franchise.
Yeah, so there was that feeling of when I saw Tailspin, I'm like, I'd rather watch that
And it
sort
was
of.
confusing because like, hey, Baloo, what are you doing here? So why aren't you in the Jungle Book? It was strange. I mean, I bought into Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers, but then for some reason with Tailspin, yeah, what are you doing here?
Black Swan asked, are we considering CG cartoons as well? As soon as they appear in the list,
Yeah, we're just going through lists that we
we're
found.
using the list to make sure we cover as much as possible things. Because when we tried doing earlier episodes without the list, we ended up going, have we talked about?
Did
Did
it
we
really
go?
come out
Yeah.
then? Yeah,
So
yeah.
we always get confused with that. So we decided to stick to the list.
Wow, fascinating. Ren and Stimpy is 1991. I thought it was late
So
80s.
Ren and Stimpy in many ways started the um
Gross out humor.
no.
in
The gross out
cartoons.
humor was more what's his name? The two annoying guys.
Not Ren and Stimpy?
MTV. Oh my gosh, I can't remember. Anyway, but Ren and Stimpy,
Beavis and Butt.
yeah, Beavis and Butthead. There you go. But Ren and Stimpy was less gross out and more obnoxious.
Ah, yeah, yeah. That's
See?
a better term for it.
Yes.
I didn't get into Ren and Stimpy. It was just very strange. It was like the kind of cartoons that would make your parents go like, "Why are you watching this?" You know.
Although many say Ren and Stimpy was very close to Pinky and the Brain when it comes to the wavelength in terms of the humor they wanted to explore.
But then
It's just that
the
Pinky and the
fiction was
Brain
different
was smarter, whereas Ren and Stimpy was dumber.
and grosser because they like to do the weird
The close-up butts
close up
and
hyper real. Then suddenly it shifts from the cartoon style to the pseudo realistic
which, if you
style.
think about it, was huge influences of anime creeping into
Mm-mm.
Western animation.
Yeah. Ooh, there's a 1994 Spider-Man series. This was okay. And then I think I just appreciate that
Everyone is saying Beavis and Butthead. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't notice
the
earlier.
particular universe of this particular Spider-Man was eventually brought into the comics as a
Mhm,
Spider-Verse alternate
mhm.
universe. So that was just amazing. Ooh, there was an Aladdin. Okay, Aladdin TV show, which also ties to the beginning of all these
Disney
direct.
direct to video.
No, no, not
Direct to
not the direct-to-video sequels, but TV spin-offs
mm,
of the show. And it was like, hey, the genie's hanging around again, even though he was freed, because they're friends and all that stuff. And
mhm.
yeah, I didn't particularly watch this. I didn't. I think it's also because Disney Channel was not as prevalent. I was like more like I'm gonna watch Cartoon Network. Okay. Ooh, Rocket Power. I saw it. I didn't get into it. This was Nickelodeon, right? I think it was Nickelodeon. 1998, The Wild Thornberries. I watched some of it, hoping it was like Jumanji. That's about it. And
I
then,
thought it was a spin-off of Hey Arnold, so I wasn't interested.
okay. Oh wow. 19. No, that's 1988. That doesn't count. Doesn't count. Oh, 1997, The Angry Beavers. Yeah, yeah, that was weird.
So I think it's generally accepted that a lot of people who are working in the cartoon industry will always slip in adult humor only because they can. And in many ways, this is intentional
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like,
because it allows the adults to still find it entertaining, but it's still safe enough for kids to enjoy.
in the Angry Beavers, they were literally like rednecks, right? I distinctly remember they were rednecks.
Mhm.
So, didn't get into it. 1992, Goof Troop. Okay, this, I wasn't like the greatest of fans, but there was something endearing about Goof Troop.
Mhm.
And then, because it tied to that Goofy movie, and it introduces that he has a son, we just never established who the frack married Goofy or
Mhm.
decided to have a kid with him. And
Or
just
why
live
are they
with him.
human while Pluto isn't?
Yeah, yeah. Well, just a classic Disney question. But this was fun. So, speaking of 1992, Beavis and Butthead, I tried to get into Beavis and Butthead because it was like, ooh, I want to be an edgy teenager,
Mhm.
and I watched Beavis and Butthead. But it was also just like, I don't get it. I think after watching the first few, it's like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, they exhausted me. I mean, I found the show fun to some extent, but I could not sit and watch it, constantly. It was just exhausting.
Ooh, 1999 Batman Beyond, which didn't
Mm.
quite have the same fire of
Yes.
Batman the Animated Series, but it eventually grew into its own. And
Mhm.
then I actually have in my reading queue the recent Batman Beyond revival comics
Mhm.
from like New 52 and stuff, and Rebirth, because I want to see what happens, and I loved how even without being Kingdom Come, they kind of had grumpy Kingdom Come-ish Batman who relied
Mhm.
on power armor to make it. So yeah.
There is that questionable meme of Batman um, using his bodily fluids to change the DNA of some other person's kid and all that. So you can look that up, but it kind of traces its roots to this one.
Yeah, that was the Joker subplot, right?
Mhm.
Oh, but that was legit terrifying. I think when that reveal came out, like, oh my god, oh my
Yeah.
god, that they went there. So that was like very, very, very avant-garde, I guess. Okay, Real Monsters, 1994,
So Real Monsters felt like
Garbage Pail Kid art
it's like
inspired.
Beetlejuice had a cartoon series.
It did have a cartoon series,
And I mean, it felt like it came from
the
from
Beetlejuice
Beetlejuice,
cartoon series.
and that's why I got interested when I saw it. But then I could never watch it at home because no one else liked it. So I never really got to dive into it.
Flash fact is, I don't know why when I'd be like up late on the
Mhm.
weekends, I would more often than not, you would encounter real monsters playing at like
Mhm.
1 in the morning. And so I totally watched it. And I really like, oh my God, of course I can't remember his name now. Well, Karen loved Oblina. I love that whole concept of the guy holding his eyeballs the whole time. I mean, like, I didn't like he was stinky,
Mhm.
but just the fact that, oh my God, we have a character who was doing the eyeball thing even before Pan's Labyrinth.
Mhm.
And it was such a, as a mechanic of the throwing his eye,
Mhm.
and using it to spy and stuff. Wow, really? Wow, this list has Sailor Moon at 1995.
Mhm.
Didn't get Crumb, thank you. I didn't get into Sailor Moon,
Mhm.
and whatevs. Ooh, 997 Daria.
So I had a
Nice.
schoolmate who was the splitting image of Daria,
Okay.
both in how she dressed and how she acted. And the amusing thing was she never saw the cartoon.
Oh my God, that's even better.
And when we told her about it and she watched it, she hated the cartoon so much because she was so different personality wise,
Hmm.
despite matching it so much visually. So it became such a running gag that she found annoying because anyone who would see
And
her
when she reacted in a deadpan manner, like, I hate Daria.
medyo.
Oh my God, that's even better. La la la
So
la
yeah, that
la.
was an interesting moment.
And so I wonder now, like, when you think about the niche world of MTV related animated
Hmm.
content, like, where did it go? Like, who gets to air that now? Because I don't necessarily see streaming services
Hmm.
like picking up MTV
Well,
shows.
a lot of the more niche animations now are really fully independent. You actually do have people who are making their own series or mini series and releasing them online on their own. Um, and then a lot of what used to be stuff you could only do in the animation have become pretty much accepted in terms of shows. So um, Daria's personality and character, you now see that as characters in other shows. I mean, even the recent WandaVision had what's her name, which you could say is like her
But she
appearing in a
was,
live action show.
but she was more Daria in the Two Broke Girls, I
Yes,
feel, than this one.
but that's what I mean. We've gotten to the point that since those were all present before only in niche
Yeah,
animated
now it's
stuff,
like everywhere,
now
right?
it's acceptably present in all this, which is why.
It's like, or like Aubrey Plaza
Mm,
in Parks and Rec, and things like
and
that.
now
So
you have the obnoxious, almost childlike leading heroes, such as what they did with, no, no, again, Thundercats, which eventually we'll see that as main characters in live action shows as well.
maybe. Okay. Next is mention of Blue's Clues, which, okay, I didn't particularly watch. To be fair, this is targeted
Hmm.
towards preschoolers and stuff. But I was just fascinated when we found out that Steve from Blue's Clues,
Started making music.
went, after the show went on to be in a rock band, and his
Hmm.
music was kind of cool, and then it was kind of hot. So
And there was also that there was a rumor that he died or something like
yeah,
that,
then he had
and
to
they were
like,
trying to hint it in the show by showing the. And then now there's a Filipino who's doing Blues Clues.
yeah, and then they had a reunion episode where
Hmm.
the different hosts all came together. So that was cool.
Yeah.
I like meta references like that. This doesn't count. Oh, see, another Disney spin-off was Timon and Pumbaa. I didn't
Hmm.
really watch it. King of the Hill was like disturbing. I didn't get into it either. I mean, it was one of those. This was MTV also,
Hmm.
or Comedy Central. I forget. Superman the animated series. I felt like this never had the power of Batman the animated series.
I think this was the first sign of people just not knowing what to do with Superman.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
because even the Lewis and Clark series kind of still found its way in showing Superman as the idealized character.
Mm-hmm.
But in this cartoon, we were kind of getting lost. Is he a Boy Scout? Is he a determined hero? Is he the boss of the league? And
Yeah.
it was already kind of getting mixed.
Okay. Um, Little Bear. Don't know what this is. 1995. Okay, 997 Cow and Chicken. Yes. So this I think was definitely from the cartoon experiments. It was the
Mhm.
one that was the weirdest and one of the weirdest. And then it, as mentioned earlier, the one that also had the devil in it. But
Mhm.
he was just the red guy. But
Hey Sam, Sam's with us.
I will admit that I watched a lot of Cow and Chicken. I
Mm-hmm.
super enjoyed it. Karen, do you consider puppets as cartoons? No. For me, I mean, like they're their own thing. I respect puppet shows as their
And
own,
I guess to
and they
explain
tend to
it,
be live
and to
action.
explain it more, cartoons by itself is a medium.
Yeah,
It's
we're
not a
focusing on it being
it's not
animated.
a genre. It's not a classification of shows. It's just a medium.
Oh well,
Um,
Black Swan knows Little Bear.
and
Good
then
job.
same thing with puppetry. When you go puppetry, you can go as simple as hand puppets, but then there's
Muppets.
the shadow puppets. There's the full-bodied puppets. So I feel puppetry in itself is as well another medium.
Oh wow, 1999, Sabrina the Animated Series, which was a follow-up to the live-action
Mm-hmm.
series.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they felt she needed a cartoon. I tried a few and like I enjoyed the sitcom more at this point, but then again, I was like towards the end of grade school, so. Freakazoid. I wanted to get into it, but I didn't have the patience to watch it.
Same.
Like I thought they were doing crazy stuff. I felt it was like more adult Animaniacs, but I didn't. Oof, the Tick, which is another one of those. I thought I'd get into it more, but I couldn't catch it. Then
Mhm.
I didn't. Then I tried watching the Amazon series, and that was like okay, but also a little
Yeah,
tiring.
I didn't get into that show either.
Yeah. Pepper Ann. I only know what looking at it vaguely. I know what she looks like, but then I never got into it. Ooh, what is Dragon Tales 1999?
This looks like a book.
I know, right? Oops. Dragon Tales. American Canadian animated fantasy children's television series. That's a lot to juggle. Oh, oh, yeah, it looks a little generic.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's a
I
storybook
don't know
thing.
this.
So let's move past the storybook ones.
Bobby's World is something else.
Franklin's. Okay, so Captain Planet and the Planeteers.
Ah, 1990. It just made it
I will have to admit that show has a special spot in my heart
because
because it was the
in your
Western
heart,
because it's the Western attempt to do Sentai for me.
that's what it
And I
was.
really like the concept of using elements. I found it very amusing that heart
Heart is an element.
just had to be snuck in, and the villains were cool.
At least in the first few seasons.
Mhm.
My gosh, I mean, Captain Planet was really doing something, and they got some very interesting voice
Mhm.
talent. And then Whoopi Goldberg was Gaia, spirit of the earth. Oh my God, can you remember the opening sequence? Gaia, the spirit of the earth, can no longer handle something plaguing our planet. Thus, she sent 5 special rings to 5 special young people.
Mhm.
Kwame from Africa with the power of earth. Wheeler from North America with the power of fire. Oh my God, Linka
Mhm.
from the was it Soviet Union? I think it was still Soviet Union. Oh my God, with the power of wind, and then
Oh wow, Kenny knew Dragon Tales.
oh yeah, and then oh God, who's the girl? Oh crap, who's the Asian?
No, no names.
Oh no, with the power of water, and then Mati with the power of heart.
And he had a monkey
Yes, and by their power,
with their
they could
powers.
summon no, they could summon Earth's greatest champion, Captain Planet, and then you get the Captain Planet.
Mhm.
He's a hero, gonna take pollution down to
I
zero.
wouldn't mind if they come up with a live action Captain Planet.
Yeah, I mean, like
I'd
we could
love to see
totally,
how they translate that to the modern day.
but it's so controversial because it's like climate change and
Mm-hmm.
things. But I think we totally need Captain Planet again, and it was a big. It was a Ted Turner production.
Mm-hmm.
There was like so much like behind it. Like
Yes.
there was definitely like they really were making a big statement. Okay. Next is the Sonic the Hedgehog I was mentioning in 1993.
So I didn't watch that because I was Captain N. I was into
Nintendo. Meanwhile, I was watching it on UHF ABC bootleg at night. No, because was this what I
I
liked?
love the game. I love the game.
No, but
I didn't watch it.
what I liked about this cartoon was it suddenly dressed up this really dark plot
Mm-hmm.
around everything. So you have their little world, and then the power rings are like are old tech
Mm-mm.
that come out of this lake, and then when he grips onto it, then he can run super
Mm-mm.
fast. But he burns out the ring, and then
Mhm.
it disappears.
Which is sort of what they tried to, I guess, call back to in the live action movie,
Yeah.
wherein the rings were not just currency you're collecting in the game.
And then, but yeah, Robotnik was not stupid. He
Mhm.
was very evil. And then he was
They
just
had
was trying to the Don Cheadle Captain Planet thing.
that doesn't
That was a
count.
sketch. Okay. Then was this um and then so Robotnik
Mhm.
was roboticizing the planet.
Mhm.
And it was literally he was because they made them all anthropomorphic animals.
Mhm.
He was capturing them and turning them into robots.
Mhm.
So actually he was quite terrifying. And and that's why there was a rabbit. Oh my god, I can't remember any of their names. But she was partly roboticized. So she
Mhm.
had a robot arm and a robot leg.
Mhm.
But they liberated her before that happened. And they were really this little rebellion, just trying to get past Robotnik. And it was so good. And then and then the UHF feed disappeared. So I couldn't watch it.
So you lost the pirated
I lost the
signal.
pirated signal. And then later on like ABC5, there's this new Sonic the Hedgehog series, which was
Kiddie.
very kiddie toilet humor.
Mm-mm.
And they're like,
I
what the
think we
hell
should look up
happened?
that old one and ask.
It might be on this list.
Yeah, and ask no, and ask it for our
Oh,
show supplier.
okay.
Okay,
Oh, there was an Adams Family in 1992.
Mm-mm.
I kind of remember this. It
Vague
was quaint.
memories.
It was quaint.
Yeah.
It wasn't the greatest. Madeline 993 was too old already for Madeline, or at least I was telling myself I
Hey,
was too old
Mitch.
for Madeline.
Mhm.
But I know it was like airing on local TV and Filipino
Mhm.
a lot. Roly Poly Oly. The title is familiar. Oh no, yeah, title's familiar,
I
but
don't
I don't think I
remember.
watched it. Ooh, where in the world is Carmen San Diego? I recently watched a video about this show
Mhm.
celebrating it. It was amazing because it was a children. Sorry, I'll nerd about it. It was a children's game show about geography that
Mhm.
was on PBS with the fun disclaimer of the information in this episode was accurate as of the time of the airing of this episode. And this introduced things like the character of the chief
Mhm.
being this gruff black woman, which again was like connected to the Carmen San Diego Netflix series.
Mhm.
So that oh my god, I love this show. I don't know how I think we caught it like in late reruns, but it was really good. Okay. Ooh, Tom and Jerry Kids, because
That
why
was
not?
rough.
Everything needs a kid
Yeah,
thing.
that was, and again, that was the trends that happened when children networks tried to find that special sauce.
Oh, Black Swan is like Sonic Underground. Not even, because that's the one where they were musicians. So there
Mhm.
were 3 Sonic the Hedgehog cartoons. Not as good. Not as good. Okay. Ooh, as told by Ginger, I only know of it by appearance and never watched it.
Mhm.
PB and J Otter. Okay, I've never heard of this one.
No, not familiar either.
See, then spin-offs. There was the Hercules TV series.
Mhm.
Wow, why is this here? Space Ghost Coast to Coast. 1994. Adult Swim Entertainment.
Didn't get into it.
I liked it, and Karen and I are looking for it now because we want to see Zoltan, because he was just this terrible, bitter.
Because my
entry.
superhero cartoon memories were either Defenders of the Earth
No, but
or
okay,
or Super Six,
But
which is like super early
Space
cartoons.
Ghost Coast to Coast was not about him being
Yeah,
a superhero. It
but
was about him being a talk show
But he
host.
looked like a superhero, and when I saw it, I was like, no.
Because he was based on the 60s
Exactly.
Hanna-Barbera
I'm just explaining
cartoon.
why I didn't get into it.
Just you wasted part of your life, or at least because at that time, because as a Cartoon Network person, you're like, oh, I enjoy Dexter in the morning, and then suddenly in the evening there's something called Adult Swim. Like, what the hell? And then it was really like the when the Adult Swim would start, it's really like they would have this voiceover thing
Mhm.
about all kids out of the pool, all
Mhm.
kids out of the pool, Adult Swim only, Adult Swim.
Okay, you have to realize for me, I'm coming from Liquid TV.
I watched that
And
too.
I'm coming from
I love
when
Liquid
Adult Swim
TV.
came up, I'm like, oh, it's trying to be Liquid TV. So
it kind of, but
But
it was a
that's where I was
wonderful
coming from.
subversion of beloved Hanna-Barbera
Hmm.
cartoons. Yes, thank you, Sam, mentioning Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law.
And
Toby hasn't seen it,
I haven't.
and I'm trying to get. I have to source
We
and
will
make him
dive
watch
into
it.
that. We will dive into that because in exchange, Rocky has to watch something I want him to watch. But
Oh
let's
no, it's
continue
gonna
down
be
the
hard.
list. Let's continue down the list. Continue down the list
Apache Chief is still my favorite episode of Harvey Birdman, Attorney
because
at
it
Law.
grows bigger.
Because he couldn't. Okay,
That
okay,
was
okay.
not scripted.
Okay, okay. Oh, Two Stupid Dogs. I I thought I'd like it a lot more, but I
Hmm.
didn't. It was a bit of a struggle. It was on the edge of like being too stupid for me.
Hmm.
But I still enjoyed it. Ooh, Digimon Digital Monsters. Okay, I can't remember which Digimon series I watched with my brother,
Hmm.
but there was one that we super got into it, and I like that particular incarnation. I think it's the one with the nine tails and whatnot.
Hmm.
I can't tell them apart. I was never very good with Digimon lore. It was the one that was on Animax, I think,
Hmm.
versus no, versus what you would see on, because the first Digimon shows were like tagalized on local
Hmm.
TV, and I didn't bother. Okay,
To those who are sending their other lists of shows, we'll get to them.
we'll see if it's in this list.
Yeah, we'll see if it's in the list. And we'll come back to them if they're not.
Oh my god. Okay, Black Swan is like, it had the Secret Squirrel. Okay, to be fair, Secret Squirrel was fun. All right. There was a Little Mermaid cartoon. Didn't watch it. Okay, 996 Beast Wars.
Hmm.
Controversy. Classic Generation 1 Transformers fan
Hmm.
that I am. And then they show me that the Transformers are coming back as animals.
And using CG.
Using CG, which was
Hmm.
exciting, but they're animals.
Hmm.
What? And yet, I didn't. I mean, I struggled in the beginning. I will not lie. And that first season is not great.
Hmm.
Um, but the story got really deep over time. And then eventually, the Beast Force Transformers in prehistoric Earth find the arc where the G1
Hmm.
Transformers had crashed and were in stasis. And they could not reactivate them because if they did, it would disrupt the timeline and
Hmm.
stop the Beast Force Transformers from being. Because technically, they were from the future and got thrown into the past.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my god, this is amazing suddenly. Simon Furman, you bastard. Okay. So yeah, then I grew to love Beast Wars Transformers. Digimon Frontier and Digimon Tamers are the ones that grew up, but see, I don't know. I don't know which one.
Yeah, I think we need to do a deep dive on those others soon.
Hmm.
Only because I know I didn't really get into those because I wasn't that much into the, I guess you could say, pocket monster
Yeah.
concept.
But that, oh my god, that Digimon one. Wait, let me see which one this is. Digimon Digital Monsters. Let me check. Digimon Digital Monsters. Is this the one I watched? Is this the one I watched? Ooh. There is not an agreement about which one this is. IMDb. It looks familiar, but I don't. No, no, no. I think they were too young. I think I watched the one that they were teens already.
Mhm.
Okay, okay. All right, all right. Um, The Critic. I know this is one of those trying to be adult cartoons, but I
Mm.
didn't get into it. Home Movies, 1999. Wow, I don't know this one at all.
Doesn't look familiar to me.
1997. I Am Weasel. I think I enjoyed I Am Weasel when it was a bit on Cow and Chicken.
The
Yeah,
short bit.
but when it became its own series, okay, Weasel is very annoying. So I didn't appreciate it when he graduated.
Reboot.
1994 reboot. Reboot is like what got me most excited about learning about HTML
Mhm.
markup. Well, sorry, that's redundant, but HTML because um because of hexadecimal. Because I was like,
And
this is what
hexadecimal.
hexadecimal
And
is.
hexadecimal was such an awesome villain.
Yes.
Her
changing face
her design,
aesthetic.
her character design was at par with the villains of the Final Fantasy series.
Right.
She was that awesome. And I have, of course, the older perspective of, and the show reminded me of Ottoman.
Yes. I will just say yes. But I loved,
Do
I
you guys
loved,
know
I
Automax?
super loved Reboot. I super love Reboot. And then because I was fascinated with computer
Mm-hmm.
animated things, you gotta understand, this is like early Pixar days. There
Mm-hmm.
was no Toy Story yet.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so things like Beast Wars and Reboot as fully computer animated TV series was groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Whereas before, the only computer animated things were like these shorts that were released for film festivals
Or
that you could rent on Laserdisc.
or the brief moments that enhanced a certain scene, like the chandelier in Beauty and the Beast, or
Yes, which already took so much animation computer
Mhm.
power. So
I
gotta give
want
credit.
Reboot to also have a
Reboot.
reboot.
A better one, not that weird pseudo series that they did recently.
I I want I want the
That was
team I want the
terrible.
team that worked on either Shira or Carmen Sandiego
To do a
to do a
reboot.
reboot.
But then technically Netflix already did a reboot series, right?
Yeah, but that was weird. That felt very
Reboot the Guardian Code.
yeah, that felt very out of
Uh,
place. It felt like they were trying to combine it with I don't know, Heavy Gear or something.
and
Gears of War.
I appreciate there was an effort to connect it to the original reboot, but
Mhm.
I was not able to endure that series for long. Okay. Ooh, 996, The Mighty Ducks. Yes, it had a cartoon. I don't think it needed a cartoon
And
where
it
it featured literal
and
ducks.
it has an upcoming new movie, right?
Is there? Oh yeah,
The
there's
Mighty
a new Mighty
Ducks
Ducks
has an
movie.
upcoming
Not
movie.
cartoon, but not
It's a
animated, but
new
yeah.
generation of kids. It's the same formula as they did with Karate
Cause
Kid.
why not? Let's repeat, right? I
Yes.
think I'm supposed to know this next one. Oh, okay, yeah, Duckman, Duckman. I know what he looks like. I don't think I ever watched it, and apparently it was voiced by Jason Alexander.
Mhm.
So okay, it was in those trying to be adult things. 1997, 101 Dalmatians, the series, which I think of all the things, I tried watching this because I was just
Mhm.
fascinated. How are you going to make an ongoing series with Cruella Deville? It was strange.
Mhm.
Okay, Earthworm Jim actually had a TV series, but it was not as awesome as like his video game
Mhm.
counterpart. Not that I was super into it. Oh my god, 1991, Rupert, um, featuring this white bear
Mhm.
thing. I didn't watch it. I just look at it cute and just say it's Rupert. Okay. 1993, SWAT Cats. Um, yeah, that was a thing.
Mhm.
That was a thing
It
that came out.
the cartoon entertained the cartoon was interesting for me because I also resonated with it and a certain artist who was popular in the early years of Image Comics.
Hmm.
Strawman, I think his name was,
Not familiar.
because he had the same almost high energetic art style, thick lines, solid
Like, I
colors.
didn't know why they needed to be cats. But then, admittedly, the jets were gorgeous. The way they animated the jets in
Okay,
combat was amazing.
I would take this one over Biker
I knew
Mice
you were
from
gonna bring up
Mars.
Biker Mice from Mars. I knew it. I could feel the
Because
Biker Mice lingering between us
Biker Mice was disturbing in terms of its visuals,
because they were muscular
and
mice.
this one was cool. So
Yeah, and then it was like it was a big cat and then a lanky cat,
mhm.
right? So it was like they were
But it
like
was also
different.
very geometric shapes.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know, 95. 1991, there was a Back to the Future cartoon series, but
Hmm.
I can't even remember
Yeah,
enough to talk about
barely.
it. Oh, 996, Kablam. This is worth talking about.
Hmm.
Okay, so Kablam was, I guess you could call it, was a variety show.
Sketch show.
It was a sketch show on Nickelodeon, and it gave us a lot of fun things. And some of the shows had been mentioned already by
Hmm.
people here. So, what were the shorts that were regular that people? I mean, there was Henry and June as the hosts of Kablan, and they were just classic animation
Hmm.
cartoons. Sniz and Fondue, I wasn't one of my favorite one. Action League now, I super love
Hmm.
because it was very human, yeah, He-Man style action figures doing things, right? And then the Flesh, he's super strong and super naked. I totally remember the intros for some of them at random. So it was the Flesh, Thunder Girl, Stinky Diver, and Melt Man. Wow, it's considered the most successful Kablam short, and it had
Mhm.
a small spin-off series. That's
Mhm.
fascinating. Life with Loopy, wasn't really think. Imaginative younger sister, sure.
Prometheus and Bob.
Prometheus and Bob
Aina
was
mentioned it
great
earlier.
as like silent
Mhm.
shorts. Um, Sam's like Meltman with the power to melt, and he was just a melting GI Joe. Prometheus and Bob was like good sketch.
Stop motion. Yeah.
The offbeats, I like the wordplay, but then I didn't fully get into it. I'm fascinated that it was created by the guy who made Sheep in the Big City,
Mm.
which I loved. Um, and then look, random shorts. They had Angela Anaconda, Jet Cat, Adventures of Patchhead, The Brothers Tiki, Fuzzball. It's a lot of stuff.
Girl with the head.
Untalkative Bunny. Oh, I didn't realize Untalkative Bunny started on Kablam. Oh man. Oh man. Okay, okay. So super love Kablam. And then in other strange anthropomorphic superheroes, we had Street
I
Sharks.
never got into this.
Surprisingly,
Surprisingly, I never
because
got
they're
into
and their
this.
toys and their toys were really just like practically that, but with arms and legs. Oh, people are saying they've lost connection. Oh no. Can you check on monitor? Well, you're moving on YouTube.
It seems to be running.
Okay. Okay. I guess refresh for people who are having connection issues. Facebook I know gets buggy when it runs too long. Okay. Okay. Life with Louie. Ooh, this is disturbing because I remember the actor that like drove this and I didn't get into it. Eek the cat. Do you know Eek the cat? I like this show. It was like not Garfield, but it was like practically
Mm-hmm.
a Garfield-esque thing.
Mm-mm.
Okay, that's all I can say. Ooh, 1994, the very weird Iron Man
Mm-hmm.
cartoon series based on that particular incarnation of Iron Man. I did not like this at all. 1996, Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm, because why not? This R-rated series needs to be like, a cartoon. Yeah, that was quaint. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures. Again, one of those. It was like Back to the Future, literally in the sense of why did
Mm-hmm.
this get a cartoon? Oh my God, Tales from the Crypt Keeper.
Mm-hmm.
Did you
Yeah,
watch
that's
the
good.
Tales from the Crypt Keeper animated series on HBO?
Those are good.
That was really good. That was really good. That pushed my limits for horror,
Okay.
which are already difficult. But I don't know, it was, and I know it wasn't like horror scary, but it was definitely a lot of like. I know there were a few that gave me nightmares. Like when
Mm-hmm.
I thought about the implications, I'm like, oh God, okay. And yeah, and then it was like daring to watch this on. I think it was HBO, right? I can't remember. Oh, 1994 also had the stupid Fantastic Four cartoon series,
Mm-hmm.
which really just shows you that 90's Marvel superheroes content was
Well,
not the greatest,
yeah,
except for certain shows.
yeah. And they were all trying to cash in on what Batman accomplished.
Yeah, or what X-Men kind of
Yes,
did.
what X-Men kind of started.
The Mask, the animated series, was again one of those. Wow, really? Because the movie was very adult, and then
And
okay,
small doses. It was one of those small doses
yes.
things.
Oh, 1997, something called Kailu. It looks like another of those kid things. 1993, Mighty Max. I think the toys were way more popular than I expected them to be, even though Mighty Max was literally Polly Pocket for boys. That's strange. Yes, Sam, it is time for C Lab because it is 2021. 1999, there was a Dilbert series. Oh man, when I used to be super into Dilbert, and
Mm-hmm.
then the series was like very limited and didn't go that far. Oh, okay, let's skip.
Yeah.
Oh, 1994, the
The
Wildcats
Wildcats.
cartoon.
So that came very much after the heels of X-Men.
Mhm.
It was, of course, I think both were riding on the popularity of Jim Lee, and were wanting to see if they could, get the comic magic happening in the cartoons
And it was
space as
like
well.
Image's big play to like get into the cartoon world.
Although in terms of image-related animation, I like the Max more,
Oh my God, the Max was great, but that was like MTV, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
and that was really Um, I guess the closest thing to Max now would be the Legion TV series in terms
Mm,
of how brainy, out of mind it is.
okay.
Yeah, Spawn.
Bonkers 1993 was. Oh, sorry, I
Spawn.
skipped.
Yeah,
Spawn
Spawn, of
97.
course, had the cartoon as well.
Wow, I can't remember the Spawn cartoon.
It wasn't much.
Yeah,
Because
I think I watched it, but
it was
I
super
can't remember
sanitized,
it.
and that's what made those cartoons fail. Um,
Because it was best known for being so
so
edgy.
Wildcats was very sexy and violent. The cartoon wasn't. And then Spawn was super violent and had very strong blasphemous narratives, which of course they couldn't dive into completely in the cartoon.
Oh, it was I think it was HBO. I think it was HBO.
I don't
Oh my
know.
god. Spawn cartoon series. It spawned the yes, it was no, it was on HBO in 97 to 99, and then it reran on Toonami. Oh, see,
Mm-mm.
HBO had like they were trying to like do an MTV, yeah, a Liquid TV
Yes.
play. Okay, so I don't know what Bonkers is. Mummy's Alive. I think I only saw this recently again because of
Mm.
a cartoon documentary, and like, oh my god, this is a thing.
So, yeah, so they are the maps.
The Max, and like I had never encountered the comic, but then when I
Mm.
watched this thing, it's like, holy crap, this was
Yeah.
intense.
And the comic itself is very fourth wall breaking. It's one of the few comics that I actually found myself struggling to grasp. Not enjoy. I really enjoyed it, but grasp because it really twisted the where the narrative is going.
And not like just annoying Morrison twisting,
Mm.
but like good twisting. Okay,
Mm.
okay. Sam mentioned gargoyles. We covered it earlier, but yeah, and I
Yes.
said I hold to that. It was ahead of its time.
Mhm.
It came out at the wrong time on the wrong network.
And supposedly the upcoming board game for Gargoyles, or I think it's a re-release, has a three-dimensionality to it.
Ooh,
So
because you need flight,
so
man.
there's like a vertical height to the pieces that you place down and play.
Wow, Black Swan. This might be a reach, but do you remember Princess Guinevere and the Jewel Riders?
I'll have to see if it's what I'm thinking. Aha! It was the ones with those lenses, the ears and the lenses. That's what I remembered. Vague memories of them.
Oh, because in the Philippines they
It's
were
Starla.
Starla.
Yeah, I was about to say Starla.
Starla and the Jewel Riders, which I felt like was like not quite Shira.
Hmm.
But no, I didn't watch this. I didn't.
I had a brief encounter with the show because back in my younger years, I used to also hang out with some neighbors. So they had Play-Doh.
Oh no,
And while my sister was playing with them with
that's a bad intro to this
what do you call
story.
this? What were those toys? Those pocket princess things. I'd be playing Play-Doh, and then that show would be in the background. Yeah,
Wow, where this list is almost done. There's Hey Dude. What is Hey Dude?
not familiar to me.
It's a Nickelodeon thing. Okay, but this looks live action. Okay, and then the last on this list is Angela Anaconda, which we kind of covered. It spun off from Kablam.
So the list fails to list a number of stuff.
I'm sure.
It was missing Aeon Flux, which was
Actually,
released in
I feel like
1991.
the whole Liquid TV era needs
Mhm.
to be covered. And my God, Liquid Television was amazing. Um,
Peter Chung.
yeah, so Aeon Flux was like definitely the headline like for Liquid TV. Like you watched Liquid TV to find out what was going to happen to
Mhm.
Aeon.
And mind you, Aeon Flux did have two phases, similar to the Clone Wars.
Yes.
There was the silent shorts, which had no dialogue,
Yes.
and then it had later the ones that had dialogue. I preferred the silent ones as well.
Okay. And then things I liked, well, on Liquid TV, I definitely love stick figure theater.
Mm.
I love stick figure theater. It was just a way to break down complex stories into these stupid stick figure
I
things.
also like the postcards,
Oh yes, and isn't that weren't they like
the psychograms, right?
yeah psychogram.
The
Okay,
Dear Mom.
it
I
was
was
dear
Mama.
mom. Yes, okay. And then looking at it, like what are these episodes? Invisible Hands. There was that one that was
Yeah,
the
but that was
shapen hand.
okay.
That was
I
cute.
wasn't that much into that one.
Um,
It was really
ooh,
psychograms.
cut up camera.
Yeah,
Cut up camera. Oh, and then yeah, Aeon Flux. Looking through this list, of like wow, they've listed like all the shorts per episode on the wiki page, but the psychograms are already like amazing. Um, what else is there? Then season two, Thomas and Nardo. It had Beavis and Butthead.
Mm.
The Specialists.
Yes,
Ah,
the specialists.
I love the Specialists. Yeah, it was the detectives. Okay, okay, okay. That was cute.
Beyond that, missing on the list was Pirates of Dark Water.
Oh wow! I think I also watched this on
Mm.
UHF, but it was like, what is this? I mean, it was a dark fantasy
It was that
thing.
water world that had this poisonous substance called dark
The dark
water,
water,
and then you had the different
and they were
treasures.
pirates, but like miscolored and alien.
Mm.
You know, it was a weird setting. It was a very weird setting.
I always felt it was the predecessor to the eventual cartoon known as the Treasure Planet, in the sense that it wanted to approach the genre, give it a different um, time twist, and then
Okay,
try to reapproach the material with a new, fresh face.
I suppose this is fair. A fair comparison.
We can go now to comments to see the others that were mentioned that we were not able to talk about.
Boom, 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 boom.
Going through it real quick. Yeah, Batman Beyond, we talked about it earlier as well.
Yes.
Cat Dog, we talked about that earlier as well. Yeah, that's pretty much what's on the list.
So yeah, so I think this era was notable for like things like cartoons. Oh yeah, cartoons. I mean like that they we got a lot of good stuff come out of that. Hey, what was the when did this come out? Oh, see, isn't that funny? X-Men was not on this list that we looked at.
Mhm.
And X-Men was 1992. And
Mhm.
then, oh my God. And I think it's super codified the yellow, that particular yellow outfit era, you know, and they were
Yeah.
like, because in the comic counterparts, they were already like doing X-Men Gold and X-Men Blue. And I
Mhm.
mean, it was that
The yellow
era.
and blue outfits were very prominent. Jim Lee also
Yes, yes.
helped design a lot of those. Eventually, that will move to the more the leathery look.
You sound like they have bad skin. Um, Invader Zim. I think that was early 2000s already, but let's double check. Invader Zim.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, especially anyone who's new to the show,
Yeah, this is the last of the decades we're covering.
and we have not covered anime. We are focusing more on Western animation
Because
as
yeah,
much as possible.
because there's that weird thing where they keep distinguishing anime as its own thing
Mhm.
when it's still an animated TV series. It's not a genre
Mhm.
per se. So Invader Zim was a 2000 early 2000 release. I probably mentioned it already. What else? I'm not looking at other lists for like things. Oh my god, bingo. Oh, when was the no? When was? Let me check. When was? See, Beast Machines, which people tend to lump together with Beast Wars, but
Mhm.
technically it was a new show, even though it was a direct continuation of Beast Wars, because it's like the Beast Wars Transformers finally get back to Cybertron, their future Cybertron, but then Megatron has taken
Mhm.
over, and then it was like super weird. Oh, Sam mentions Archie's Weird Mysteries. I don't remember this. Huh, 1999 2000 French animated cartoon series. French American.
Mm.
Looking at the font, like, oh, this looks familiar, but I don't remember. I'm still getting chills thinking about Tales from the Crypt Keeper. Because it was in that block of like, was this HBO was coming up with all these animated shows. They were investing in like coming up with their own animated content. So things
Mhm.
like Spawn, but then things like, yeah, things like this, and then it was just so good. And They were weird shows, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check the year of release for this one. Ah, I just missed it. There was an older Max Steel cartoon, but apparently it came out exactly 2000. So, uh, too old. Not that
Yeah,
one.
so other comic related cartoons that came out at the time included Savage Dragon, Ultra Force, and um,
I remember Savage Dragon, but I didn't
yeah,
like watch it.
Wildcats is mentioned, Toxic Crusaders, Swamp Thing. There was an Attack of the Killer Tomatoes cartoon.
Yes. Oh my God. Wait. Yes. I watched this. It was stupid, but I enjoyed this. I did.
Hmm.
I'm double checking like HBO released cartoons.
And then there was also a Silver Surfer cartoon, which blended
Oh.
cell animation with CG.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
Most say it was very Kirby-esque in terms of visual style.
Oh, there. List of original HBO programming, and then former programming animation. Animals
Are you
versus
afraid of the
zombies.
dark? Yeah, those were good. If you're still into horror and you'd like small doses of it, currently, and these are non-cartoon shows that you might want to check out to pass the time during the pandemic. If you want your little dose of horror, um, you could look up a show series called The Fright Club. It's a group of guys who look up online videos that are supposedly scary
Mm.
and discuss the feasibility of each one and the like. So it's sort of like reaction videos of horror clips that are found online. So you might want to check that out. Another one is Two Sentence Horror Stories. There's around 2 seasons of that content right now that's available. We're in their short horror one-off stories that are inspired by 2 sentence horror stories that were found online. So you might want to look those
Oh
up.
my God, super random. Did you ever watch the Little Lulu show?
I um I did, but I always found it scary.
Because Tracy Ullman na naman eh. And then it was like, it was a, I feel like it was an attempt to make something slightly more adult. And
Hmm.
then, yeah, it wasn't quite there. And then we have to talk about some of the Adult Swim stuff, I think, in terms of like, oh no, but it's really, Adult Swim. Wow, debuted in 2001.
Hmm.
Okay, so wow, we missed it. We missed it.
Yeah, that's a bit outside. See?
Except for Space Ghost, Ghost, Ghost.
So yeah, that's the different 90s cartoons that we've gone through.
Where I was dominant. So I have very strong comic cartoon knowledge in this
Mhm.
era. And then I'm good for 80s and 90s. And then Toby's not so great in 90s. 2000s, we both suck. And then
Mhm.
2010s was like,
We jump
we
back
know
in.
some things.
Yeah.
But by this time, we're already together. And so,
Mhm.
like, we discover things together. So, like, recently, like, we finally watched Harley Quinn. That was good. And then we're finishing up Thunderbirds Argo because I love the Thunderbirds. And what other cartoons we watched recently? There's something else. I can't remember what else we were watching.
Cartoons.
Yeah, yeah. Or it was maybe just comedies. But
Um, Thunderbirds, Carmen San Diego. What else? That's pretty much it.
there was like some short series that we did on like Plex, but I can't remember what it was. Anyway,
Mhm.
yeah. So wow, guys, that was long. That's it's over. It's almost an hour and a half, but that's expected because we went through a lot of cartoons.
Sam sharing a Japanese movie called Noroi that's documentary styled and good horror. Yes, I've heard of that one. I like that one too. Um, we'll talk about horror as a different episode.
Yeah, that's the one where I'll just not be talking, or like I'll just feel like this with Toby. This is how you watch horror. It's gonna be like
And I'll have all these wounds afterwards.
it's not. I don't. break skin. I may bruise. I don't break skin.
So we will definitely have to schedule episodes to cover anime next.
Yeah. Although I
Not
feel like I'm not.
necessarily, not anytime soon, but
You're gonna have to guide me through that
we'll
one.
have to
I
build
think.
our list because you have everything from old school anime, Escaflowne and Evangelion, Akira, Ranma One Half,
And you have
and
to
all
know
that.
that a lot of this I'm only watching with you.
Mhm.
Like I'm only getting into it now.
We can go through my sexual discovery journey as we go through anime.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm already annoyed when my Steam game discovery queue includes anime style games with sexual content. I've actually added sexual content to like filter this out for me because I just get annoyed.
David shares you had, I guess that's had
You need to
you need
flex
to
during
flex.
horror movies, Toby.
I try, but
Not that kind of a flex.
I don't
Okay.
have that much.
Parang Gretchen Barreto's vaccination. What the hell? Anime by decade or genre? I don't know. Okay, I don't know.
Or maybe we'll just give it,
We'll just cover a bunch of anime.
or we'll cover it by era. So sort of like these were the anime we got into, but now everyone's watching these anime and we haven't really
Yeah, I
seen
mean,
them.
like we're the kind of people who still haven't like really watched Attack on Titan, and then I generally appreciated One Punch Man, so
Oh,
that's
now I know
great.
what we watched.
What?
The Godzilla one.
Oh
Sorry, not Godzilla, the
yeah,
Pacific
the
Rim one.
Pacific Rim
Which
series.
which went really weird because they suddenly wanted to try to hit all these other genres in one cartoon. And then there was that other one, the Gods one.
Oh, the Blood of Zeus.
Yeah. I
Oh
cannot
man.
comment on that one.
I will just say that, oh, Hera as the jealous wife, what a revelation. This is totally new. What? Another scion of Zeus needing to go on a quest to save things? Wow, so original.
I can only comment one thing, which is no matter what they hit, it sounds like hitting metal.
The Foley for that show
Yeah.
was terrible.
I punched the marble pillar. I hurled the guy to the floor.
Because we're also the people who aren't like super enamored by the Castlevania cartoon series either. I
Yeah.
think the first one was like had I think I still kind of had like fun moments with the first one because there was still the thrill of ooh I recognize like that reference and like I get that and that character. But then after that, it's like okay, there's something really weird with the studio and the way they animate emotionless people, and their action was weird. Okay, yeah. I guess that's our show today. So tomorrow we're talking about uh, digital board games. So we're gonna talk about whether you're gaming for yourself, like Toby a lot, or you want to game with friends. What your options
So
are.
different recommendations if you want to play board games alone, with friends remotely. Even as far as options on how you can play digital board games with friends who don't have a copy of the game.
That's become important.
And that's the amazing thing now that has happened. There are ways to do that, so you don't have to all spend on the same game if you just want to have a nice game night.
Yep.
So we'll cover that tomorrow. And then on the weekend, we will have an episode on Sunday.
Yeah, we're doing meditation and de-stressing.
And that's our reach out and check in episode because it's all about wellness and it's all about
Namaste.
making sure we're all doing
Becoming
okay.
white women doing yoga. Saying namaste. Oh my god, I remembered Warren Stories again. That episode was so good. Feel good content, watch Warren Stories. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Close us out, Toby.
So yeah, that's our episode on the cartoons of the 90s. We once again thank David for sending us this topic.
And the 3 other topics to cover the entire time span from the 1980s to the 2010s.
But I'm afraid that's all the time we have for this episode. We thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you'll join us again next time.
If you have, where is it? If you have questions or suggestions for future episodes, fill out the Google form at bit.ly, Baduy Pride Ideas. You can follow us on Twitter, All Toby No Shade, RG Sunico.
You can also check out our blog, baduypride.com, for all the previous episodes and stuff about us.
And feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below. Let us know if we missed any 90s cartoons that changed your life, because there are a lot of obscure ones that like just happened. And I think there was a ridiculous number of adaptations of movies into children's cartoons.
And there's the tricky angle also of a lot of anime that was repackaged to be Western
Yes.
cartoons, but we kind of try to avoid those.
Or anime that was dubbed into Tagalog and became iconic on local TV.
Mhm.
You know who you are. All right,
Some of you might remember Princess Sandra.
Sarah.
No, Nausicaa.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
That was the rename. Anyway,
All right. And be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
and I'm Toby.
And
This is Baduy Pride.
Oh my God, just we're going. Mitch is like 1991, Mr. Bogus.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Bogus. Good night, everyone.
Send us more topics.
Yay.
Thanks for watching.